Hello. Hi. Hello. Happy Friday. Yay. I made it. Hello. Hi, 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗲𝗲 TV. What's up? Good to see you. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here, Debbie. I'm good, Poppy. How are you? I saw Cole in here. What's up, Cole? I saw Sarah. Hello, beautiful Sarah. And John. Hello to you guys. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a good day. I had a long day, but of course, we're back with our favorite girl, aside from me, Sarah Boone. I know. I know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I don't know. Consider yourself lucky. But we're back to Sarah Looney Boone. We're going to be covering the 28-page letter that has recently come out. And I do have some text messages and a different divorce letter that I want to cover, but this one's long, so I might have to do the others tomorrow. So might be like a Sarah Boone, because I have some text messages that, oh, and hi, welcome. I always just start rambling. Hi, welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hello, Stephanie. I'm so glad you made it. Happy Friday. We're covering Looney Boone today, your favorite girl, Sarah Boone. Anyways, so I have text messages that some did come out in trial, but I have all of them and I still haven't watched that trial. So I still do need to watch that trial. I know I'm behind. It was only 5 days though. So yeah, I'll probably cover it. Hi, John. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And then I have a different letter that was really hard to find, but I want to cover that. Stephanie says, I'm so glad I'm here. It's been a day, Melly. I love you. I hope you had a good it's been a day, girl. Let me tell you, I've had a week. And yeah, I feel that. So I was like, I'm excited to go stream and hang out with cool people, chill people, and read this crazy letter from Sarah Boone. What up, YouTube streets? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Love YouTube streets. Nonetheless, let me pull up the letter. We're going to be covering her. So I don't know if I'm going to get through the text messages and the motion denial. I don't know if you guys knew this. After she was sentenced to life, she did file an appeal right away on December the 4th. So I do want to read that denial as well, but I don't know if we'll have time. So I don't know how, this is the 28-page letter, so we're going to get through it. But I don't know how long that'll take me. So let's get started. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. This is dated December 6, 2024. Filed in office, Tiffany R.M. Russell Clerk Circuit Court, Florida. It says, Mr. and bear with me, we're going to read her handwriting here, so you know how it is. Mr. Michael Kraynick, I am enclosing. I can't read her writing. I'm going to have to zoom this in. I am enclosing, please, my complete statement to you and the world as I partially read during my sentencing hearing. By my reserving particular parts, am I reading this right? I feel like I can't read this. Particular parts of my very true and meaningful statement, I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness. No, she did not. What? Why? Yeah, I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness, understanding, and consideration in any level or degree. For me, unfortunately, and regardless of whom I had speak on my behalf, or the number of your ignorant mind was already made up. I feel like I'm being, oh no, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 going rogue. Why? I feel like, is this real? Is this real? Like this really happened? I haven't read this. Have you guys read this? Have you guys watched a live with this? Miguel, what's up, Miguel? Good to see you. Yes, we love that prison guard here. Good friend of the channel. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Wait, pause. I feel like This isn't even real. For me, unfortunately, and regardless of whom I speak on my behalf or the number of your ignorant mind was already made up by your clear error and full-blown unfair bias against me since your involvement in my crucible case as a whole. I have been unsuccessful in receiving anything from you as a supposed fair and neutral judge, except for your, with that, I spend the rest of my life in prison. Some of the, yeah. I mean, how big does it need to be? Pause. Is that good? Can you guys see it? I feel like I'm having trouble reading. What I'm having trouble with is the fact that she's saying crazy things. They offered her a plea deal. She didn't take it. Please know and always remember, Mr. Kraynick, I forgive you, still and sincerely. Please understand also the judge, according to Cicero, is never to lose sight that he is simply a man and that he cannot exceed the power given to him by his commission, that not only power but public confidence has been given to him, that he ought always very seriously to attend not to his wishes but to the requisitions of law, of justice, and religion. Cis pro clients. I am excited in my appeal, which speaks for itself. My case law as well, in which I am extremely proud to have achieved and will continue doing so now that I am no longer in your corrupt court and free from your malevolent judicial grip. Sarah Boone versus State of Florida. I have also added to my statement, as a result of your blindness and impartiality, foremost, your disgust in me as being an outspoken woman, determined defendant, and proactive client, hoping the next time you put on your listening ears and do not unfairly oppress the next as you have so blatantly done me. You will never admit your many judicial errors, nor will the prosecutors theirs, and I will never admit to you what you have wrongfully accused me of and judged me as. I am not an unaliver. I am a survivor. Sarah Boone. In English, so many of these words are encrypted. If only she had been. Wait, I thought they offered her like. Didn't they offer her? I thought it was they offered her like. Wasn't it like 10 years or something, and she didn't take it? Am I wrong? Okay, let's continue. Black robe disease, arrogance in a judge, a slang term for a judge who flaunts judicial power and dominates proceedings at the expense of the dispensation of justice. Impartiality is the first duty of a judge before he gives an opinion or sits in judgment in a cause. He ought to be certain and absolute that he has no bias for or against either of the parties. If he has any interest, even the... I really liked her penmanship in the first few letters we saw, not in this one. Even the house, I don't understand what that says. In the cause, he is disqualified from sitting as a judge, and when aware of such interest, ought to lawfully and justly refuse to sit on a case. The delicacy which characterizes the judges in this country generally forbids their fitting in such a cause. The judge must not only be impartial, but must also follow and properly enforce the law and not abuse. He is bound to declare what law is and not make it be not an arbitrator, but an interpreter of the law. It is their duty to be patient in the investigation of the case, understand circumstances and difficulties by all parties, careful in considering parts of a case in a whole, and decent in judgment. And she referenced the dictionary. But at the risk of practicing judicial centricism, a word I have coined in this presentation. Others have called it black robe disease. Whether he was correct or not in my behavior, it is widely accepted that judicial behavior affect the jury. And then there is the worst of judicial ailments, the black robe disease, which I've never heard of, by the way, which is otherwise known as arrogance. Oh, she's like quoting different articles. Trial judges are firmly charged with securing a fair trial and must intervene to that end when necessary. I don't know what she's saying. And the duty encompasses not only the avoidance of error before it occurs, but the fair correction of error that may have occurred earlier in a proceeding. So she's just stating a bunch of like cases. In the instant case, the trial judge did not analyze the evidence. He added to dealing with the mere mannerism of the accused and giving his testimony to judge put his own experience with all the weight that called be attached to it in the scale against the accused. Kintsukuroi is a kind of Japanese ceramic style, which means, quote unquote, to repair with gold. In this tradition, when a ceramic piece breaks, an artisan will fuse the pieces back together again using liquid gold or gold dust lacquer. So rather than being covered up, the breaks become more obvious and a brilliant new piece of art emerges from the brokenness. Am I tripping out? What did she even say? Hi, Juicer. You're not late. You don't have to say sorry. You're fine. It's okay, Miguel. I appreciate you, Miguel. It embraces flaws, weaknesses, and imperfections, and also teaches the essence of resilience. Every crack in a ceramic piece is part of its history, and each piece becomes more beautiful because it has been broken. This is the wisdom of Kintsukuroi. In my wisdom, and with all of my repairs, then and now and ongoing, God is and has been and will always be my artisan. All of my gold is forgiveness. This has held me together, made me shine brighter, and overcome the damage caused by Jorge Torres, the Torres family, and the justice system, Judge Wooten and Kraynick, Orange County Corrections Department, social media, scoundrel detectives, infamy, defamation, ongoing constitutional right violations, second-degree murder forced into being pros. Why did she say Jorge Torres? Like, what did he... She unalived him and put him in a suitcase. Sarah Boone. Exactly. You're just in time. I'm glad you're here, Juicer. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Forgiveness is invaluable. Sleep, because I had... So I'm guessing these pages are not in order that I got. That's why we're probably confused, and I should probably check that. Because I'm like, that makes no sense. Why? I just downloaded these from the website, so that makes no sense because she's talking about gold and then she talks about sleep. Oh, I see. Okay. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion to be set free from sorrow. Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance and adds even greater grief and deeper heartache. Irreparable cracks on top of that already no one deserves, no matter the pain or disappointment within justice. Oh, disappointments, untruths, or injustice. It doesn't matter, as the more broken you are, even though how different than before you've become, more outstanding, and more extraordinary. Above all, when you let go of blame, misunderstanding, excuses, give up your anger, and cease from resentment, this is forgiveness. And when you forgive, you heal. And when you heal, you move forward. My gold begins with Jorge Torres and everything. He slapped me, kicked me, punched, spit on, assaulted, stabbed, choked, laughed at, pushed, pulled, dragged, whipped, tripped, stole from, lied, terrorized, threatened, humiliated, forced, degraded, made me cry every time he tried to end me, defeat me, or destroy. This is wild. I forgive Jorge for beating me senseless, for trying to sleep because I had to go to work or my son's field trip the next day. For ruining my deceased family heirlooms, traditions, and keepsakes, my son's furniture, destroying the television we watched together. For wrecking our townhome by breaking windows, punching holes in the walls and doors, ramming his entire body into glass doors, kicking in my front and back door over and over. For breaking or removing the locks from all the doors and sometimes the knobs altogether, so I had nowhere to feel safe, including the sacred space of my son's room where he beat me bloody on his bed. For terrorizing and threatening my blind and deaf dogs by leaving the gate open I built to keep them safe, telling me he hoped I'd find their bloated dead body in the pond or scrap their remains off of the pavement. For kicking them off the bed and throwing them across the room because they were trying to protect me. She's actually sitting here. Hey, Pantera, good to see you. Buenas noches. She must have missed the give up anger part that she wrote. Yeah, no, we're just reading Sarah Boone's apology letter, which is pretty brutal. I didn't know she victim blamed Jorge Torres this much in this. Just kind of disgusting considering what she did. But for threatening to make me unrecognizable to my son by breaking all the bones in my face like his brother Moises did to him after he kept seeing all the bruises. This is like, that's brutal. After he kept seeing all the bruises. Let me, sorry, this is not in order. I don't know why. It's annoying. How is she going to be blaming Jorge after what she did? Like, I don't get it. She keeps talking about the abuse here, so just trigger warning. For Jorge beating me like all the times their father, wait, is that the right part where I left off? One sec, let me make sure. ATS! Hi, ATS. Good to see you, girl. How are you? I'm reading the new Sarah Boone letter, but I just realized it wasn't in order. Oops. I should have probably figured that out. That's how I got it. That's how I got it. Hi, Sarah. Did I say hi, Sarah? I don't know if I said hi to you. I did. I said hi to you. Hello, beautiful Sarah. Good to see you, girl. Okay, where did I leave off? No, I can't even remember. Oh no, I got distracted. Now I'm panicking. Oh, page 3. Hold on, let me find it. I'm like, no, I don't remember where I left off now. Oh my God, I don't remember where I left off. Oh yeah, for ruining my deceased family heirlooms. For for threatening to make me unrecognizable to my son by breaking all the bones in my face like his brother Moises did to him after he kept seeing all the bruises. I'll pull it up in a second. All the bruises. We missed you too, Sarah. We're glad you're here. For Jorge beating me like all the times their father beat their mother. For all the drunken rages and fistfights with so many neighbors when wandering into the apartment during hunting expeditions after I escaped. For drowning me in liquor and wine because I didn't want to drink, causing me to urinate on myself, then butting the end of the bottle in my face, giving me 2 black eyes and a bloody nose. Whoa. For making me experience what it is to be S-word. Threatening to kill my friends and the neighbors when they checked on me to make sure I was alive and in one piece. For threatening to burn down our townhome and set my car on fire because I got a job. For holding me hostage on weekends my son was supposed to come over by keeping my keys around his neck, my phone in his crotch, and a butcher knife stuck in the middle of the table as a warning not to ask anything or try to leave. For stabbing me in the leg and not letting me call 911 or ambulance or seek help, where I nearly bled to death until I concocted a lie to save him from being arrested. For me experiencing ever being arrested and after today, prison. For beating me almost blind, crushing my occipital lobe. For having my experience what it means to see stars in the cartoons where a character has a lump on their head. I had that too many times. Dragging me downstairs by my hair in the middle of the night just to sit next to him. For taking my car, driving drunk with my debit card to buy more alcohol while I slept, even after I kindly explained the importance of my car to take my son to school, foremost me to work, and he to his batter's interview classes and probation officer meetings where I would be forced to sit for hours in the parking lot waiting for him. She's basically saying she forgives all of these people that did all of these things to her. Jesse, Melly Mel, I love seeing your face. Oh, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate you for being here. Hi, beautiful Sarah. Her claims are just about the same as Amber Turd's. Yeah, you know, this is kind of brutal because we know she got life. I know that. We know she got life for putting him in a suitcase, right? And so, like, here she is saying all these disgusting things about him. Like, let the man be in peace. Get over it. Like, you got life in prison. Why is that anyone else's fault? And she says, in this letter, she says, I forgive social media. Like, what did social media do? You're the one who's the crazy person on the... we need to talk about it, Sarah Boone, because you put him in a suitcase. She should have took the deal. I agree. YouTube Streets. I agree. She's never going to get it. Like, come on now. There's something about Sarah Boone's face that makes my tummy. All right. But I do believe, and I just want to say that I am very serious about the whole DV situation, and I do believe that he was also a player in it. I do. I'm not sitting here talking shit. I do believe he played into that, but it doesn't make her okay, and it doesn't make this okay, right? She should have definitely have taken that deal because she would have almost been done by now. Exactly. Let's continue. For causing me so much trauma and pain mentally, physically, and emotionally, I had to be hospitalized more than once. For destroying my reputation and integrity, for my which is unaliving, scarlet letter, not letting me feel safe to live, talk to other people, and spend time with my son, have a job, friendships, simply go to the bathroom with the door closed, or go to sleep soundly or comfortable. I forgive Jorge for lying, for him trying so many times to end me with his terrifying love. I also forgive Torres' family, his mother, his father, foremost, also his 2 ex-wives and daughters, all for knowing who Jorge was. What a narcissist. I'm shook. I'm shooketh. I'm shooketh. Jojo. Hello, Jojo. I've missed you. Good to see you. If that was a melon, he'd get life without parole. I thought she did get life. No? I forgive George for dying and putting me in this. She's disgusting. Anyways, for trying so many times to end me with his terrifying love. I also forgive the Torres family, his mother, his father, foremost, his 2 ex-wives and daughters, all for knowing who Jorge was capable of and has done in the past. And she underlines his history of violence and when he learned it, than to keep turning a blind eye when I would ask for help. That's wow. I don't know. That's crazy. She's putting this letter out. All of his siblings, including Pharrell Torres, who is now on his way to prison for stabbing the mother of the baby in the side of their head. For everyone who knew what Jorge was doing to me, sometimes how and when, but allowed and enabled. I forgive them for caring too late. I hope they all ask themselves while quiet and comfortable in bed at night, the uneasy question. What could I have done to stop this from happening to both of them? And after all the time Sarah tried by asking for help from all of us and so many times. This is crazy. All we hear about is like Sarah, right? Sarah. Another great contributor of my gold is social media with its greed, insensitivity, deception, obvious exploitation, and advantages gained from my criminal case as a whole, and for sentencing me by anticipation as a result of ignorance and hate conjured and fabricated by the organized crime that is social media, which condemn me in the court of public opinion since the beginning. How do you guys feel about that? I feel. Oh my gosh. I'm dying. Not us giving her life in prison. We didn't do that. If she's as smart as she thought she was, she would have made a bibliography for her citations, just saying. Looks just like an earthworm. She sat there and told the cop she didn't do it on purpose and backtracks all of it in the court. She's right. Right. I guess we condemned her in the court of public opinion since the beginning. My family law case is now is the new, why can't I read that? Waiting to be picked apart and pillaged from me being made infamous by social media in my criminal case. It simply means I cannot forgive and be forgiven and and move forward. Social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great oppression and undeniable disadvantages, especially by broadcasting and manipulating my cases online. Who manipulated her case online? Pantera, stop. This is wild. I'm laughing, dying laughing, because like we didn't do no one on social media did anything but report what she literally got caught on body cam for doing. It was a good day. That's a good one, Stephanie. She literally manipulated her own case in the way. And now she's acting all upset and angry. An angry prisoner because she didn't get, she thought she was I think she thought she was going to get away with it for some reason. Okay, so by manipulating my cases online. In my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be giving a fair, proper, and uninfluenced, successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Also, all of the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right by making me appear so wrong. Forgiveness for prejudgment, ridiculous theatrics, lies, making and taking blood money from me, what? And others' misfortunes, accidents, and catastrophes. It's all over their hands and keyboards. And even after all that's been said and done, theorized, hypothesized, scrutinized, and blasphemized in my case, still no one knows me. No one knows me. Hiding behind, it's all in their hands and keyboards. This has to be not real. She was the disgruntled inmate. Yeah. Oh, Michelle, good to see you, Michelle. I'm happy you made it. She still makes screen posters. No, social media didn't do that. Stephanie's like, can they please get a life? No, Sarah. We're going to keep talking about this. Even after, okay, still no one knows me. No one knows me. My gold also runs deep from my prior attorneys, 𝗪𝐶𝗫𝗃, who sold me the world with empty promises, then abandoned his responsibilities as my attorney after taking 2.5 years of my life, when finally realizing he was in over his head, all while hoarding JAC dollars to fund his staycations with his family when in town from Miami, for having resources ready and available, not allowing me, the client, to ever utilize, which could have greatly progressed my case and perhaps concluded, only for him to decide water parks, fine dining, and choose hotels were more important, and on others, JSC's dime. I forgive Frank J. Bankowitz for committing perjury to the judge and on court record about my attempts to be a proactive defendant and client, inquiring about my discovery, then trying to communicate with no answers or correspondence in any manner for 1 full year and 2 months before I was able to finally meet with him in the courtroom, only to receive his motion to withdraw. Frank J. Bankowitz is forgiven for his greed in taking $15,000 from JAC, who honorably aid indigent defendants as myself for taking advantage of and robbing the justice system by lying and avoiding clients, taking their money and the JACs. I mean, I just want to know if anyone here, if you believe Sarah Boone, that's okay too. We don't judge. Her plea for Miguel. She thinks Jorge's family was the reason she is in the position. Right. I agree, Sarah. I'm glad it wasn't double that she was always on. Yeah, no. She's literally a crazy person. This statement made in the court. Crazy person. All her letters. Isn't this one like, yeah, exactly. She is Michelle. Winston E. Hobson receives my forgiveness. Sarah, no one asked. I don't think any of these people asked for your forgiveness. Like, what are you talking about? Thank you, but no thank you, says everyone involved in this letter. Winston E. Hobson receives my forgiveness, who also unethically perjured himself to the judge and on court records about all the progress and attorney work he did in my case for 2 months. He was court appointed as for his allegations of my supposed unethical requests, which meant me asking about my discovery and trying to have him file a motion for my lawful inclusion to my pretrial conferences cited under from I don't know what that says under conferences cited under FRCP discovery. I wanted to be included in my case and no progress from being excluded by Bankowitz and Padilla over 3 years prior. Forgiveness also in telling me he would return in a week with my discovery, only to receive his motion to withdraw in the meantime, still not receiving my discovery, and I filing my own motion, enabling me to go to all my hearings, including my pre-trials. Continued forgiveness in his greed and selfish intentions, also for robbing the JSC and indigent defendants of $15,000 or more for nothing, justifying any work he really did do in the handful of days he represented me as my attorney. Finally, with all my gold received from this one, I forgive Patricia A. Cashman for her mean, snotty, egotistical attitude and not listening or caring that I finally received my discovery. I kept asking her, for which she fully withheld from me, citing her ridiculous, untrue reasons was because I saw my first attorney 4 years prior, and while she being my present at that time attorney, I saw not one page or any digital evidence of my discovery she prohibited me from seeing. Patricia A. Cashman was also forgiven for admitting I had a right to a bond I asked for so I could actually utilize one of my rights as opposed to having them always violated as prior and still ongoing. Then her deterrence of all my opportunities to do so. For all her lies, condescension. What does she mean there? She spelled that wrong. For all her lies, gross unnecessary arguments and anger that I asked any questions and wanted to understand for her doing nothing other than give me an even harder time and request transcripts that brazenly lie for over $16,000 for doing so, also from the previous resources provided from the JSC. I forgive Patricia A. Cashman for being a liar and a bully. Sarah's writing like, you know, when you have like an ex texting you and they're like so mad, they're like can't even text you. I feel like Sarah's so mad at the court. She can't even like, her penmanship on one of the letters was so like perfect. I was like, wow. Jojo says this doesn't sound like a forgiveness letter. Wow, again, blame. Exactly, Sarah. Blame. It's all about Sarah Boone. Everyone else lies and Looney Boone tells the truth. Exactly. So Patricia A. Cashman for being a liar and a bully, and she underlines that. Forgiveness for all those who did not include me to receive my $15,000 share I worked for when Judge Kraynick forced me to buy my own attorney to represent myself as pro se. I actually finally got my own discovery almost 5 years later, filed motions, and all priors should have done, making them the most expensive motions, even at over $46,000 between the 3 prior attorneys, Frank, Bankowitz, Hobson, and Cashman. Would they have done so when supposedly representing me? The motion would have been priceless for the proper use of the JAC funds towards ethics, professionalism, honesty, and freedom. I honorably utilized my JAC resources and mentorship as a proactive indigent defendant, avidly defending myself against the liars, thieves, and the real villains in my criminal case. Who are the real villains? Who really is the criminal? Yeah, Sarah Boone, we want to know. Why do you think other people are the criminals? I'm dead. I feel like she wants 15K. Yeah, for defending herself. This chick is unhinged. I know. That's why I titled it that in my thumbnail. I'm like, unhinged letter because, oh, shoot. I don't know what a relationship will instigate. Pick a needle when you're. Yeah. It's okay. It's Friday, Stephanie. Don't even worry about it. What? Oh, free safari. I saw someone say, free Sarah Boone, free her safari. I do have some beliefs about Sarah Boone. Please share your beliefs and opinions. She sounds like we all seen the video of what she did right. If you please haven't watched that, I think I did a live a couple weeks ago on it. And I believe there's body cam footage of it. Yeah, we did. We covered the interrogation and the morning of the crime. So go back and watch. Anyways, who really is the criminal? The JAC can hopefully include their forgiveness for them also. Judge Michael and Kraynick, I have great forgiveness for also and not protecting me and listening to my valid request for judicial intervention so I could properly and fairly defend myself against my charges. Instead, I had to defend myself against the attorneys, all appointed by the judge in court against their lies and exaggerations, reasons unjustifiable, why they were really creeping away from the battlefield and abandoning their professional duty as my attorney. Judge Kraynick, I forgive you for not giving me any opportunity to stand at your pulpit, to stand at all, to explain the real truthful side of my story. What is the truthful side? Like, we know you guys had domestic violence issues. We know you put them in a suitcase. I believe if the justice system, including yourself, would and should have done any vital homework on the already almost see-through attorneys from being spread so thin, and finally, and simply sending an email to care about their present workload, number of clients, trial schedules already in place before throwing another inmate, defendant, unknowing client on the heaping unimportant pile of warm bodies, more taxpayer dollars could be conserved and less time consumed and wasted for everyone, regardless of what part they play in the supposed system of justice. My forgiveness is deepened for taking even greater time of mine away, years, by not caring to ask me anything about anything to understand, so you could just fully render your life-defining judgments and hold any bias. I can't read that. I'm sorry. Bias and prejudice. Foremost, Judge Kraynick, I forgive you for kicking me when I was down and choking the life out of my constitutional amendments. Most profoundly, my legal right to counsel as a result of my wholehearted I don't know what that says, of my first right to speech and being my own advocate, since no one else would be, and received a paycheck for. How is she going to say that when they tried to give her 9 different attorneys? She's saying that she wasn't heard. No, who else in the true crime community have we seen have 9 different attorneys? Hi, Gracie. Good to see you. She's psycho. She went on vacation and never came back. Huh? I bet the lawyers are telling her they were so pissed. They're like, why isn't she taking this deal? They knew too, I'm sure. And now she's telling the judge that he choked the life of her constitutional amendments. out of her. And all my free speech experience driven letters only for remedy and any collaboration. In conclusion, receiving my discovery as inmate, defendant, and client, not removing of any attorneys to cause more delays or any reason or excuse you may try to force on me and have already inappropriately accused me of doing prior with your heavily insinuated strategies of mine to try and deflect the glaring red flags, disappointment, and true crime in all of the justice system. And she underlines that again because she was very upset. To this day and all forward, I do not forfeit my rights, any of them ever, especially my right to be bold, outspoken, and right in my real life experiences with the legal and justice systems. You weren't there, Judge Kraynick, in anything. And she underlines in anything. No meetings, phone calls, visits, and still took my rights and oppressed harder. I must now defend myself against you, praying you do not care too late as the others, and retaliate further against me as still a proud citizen of the United States of America and freely and excitedly using my God-given rights to still try and defend myself, to stand all the way up for you to remove my freedom altogether by allowing and approving my stab wound, bloody parts, assault, bruises, and all the rest of the beatings I endured. I hope you can finally see and understand just some of the pain from the extreme difficulties, obstacles, and unfairness, especially in my due process. You have added in my criminal case and life as an inmate, defendant, and client. All is forgiven. Oh, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. I do. I really appreciate that. Yes, let's do it. I'm down. She took his life in a suitcase. They were both abusive. Right. It's brutal. I know. I do believe that there was a lot of domestic. You removed your own freedom. And she's literally blaming like literally everyone but herself. When do we hear her in this letter of forgiveness say like, oh, I messed up too, like I did this or it's my fault? She's like, no, I forgive all of you, even social media. I'm like, who on YouTube made you guilty of the crime? No one did. She sounds like she's writing to herself. I feel like she wants to be the new Wade Wilson. Female version. I'm over it. I'm over Sarah Boone. For detectives, I can't read some of this. And for detectives, personnel, and I don't know what that says. I forgive their demonization, lies, blacklisting, coercion, law-breaking, solicitation of my case before I can even arrive at the corrections department to be booked and fingerprinted. This case can be seen in my unbeknownst interrogation video where I ask what they are doing, what all the pinging was during their texting swarm while I heavily sit waiting to be arrested, which they knew would happen the day before. For 𝗏𝗟𝗄 for bold-faced lying on the stand to the judge and court on record. She didn't tell me to come to the station to pick up my phone. Why else would I go? I didn't even know about the surprise interrogation. Oh, geez. And now the police department is forgiven too. Why do I think this is hilarious? It's messed up. It's not funny. It's domestic violence. It's serious. But I'm saying she has lost her damn mind. Did I see Graceland in here? I must have missed Graceland. Or do you mean Gracie? Oh, Gracie. I was like, who's Graceland? I'm like, I see great Graciela, not the cheese. We're not going to get into the cheese. Okay, let's see. I didn't even know about the surprise interrogation. I forgive them for also lying how the news showed up to record my walk of shame, handcuffed and confused on camera. I forgive them for trying to make me lose from the beginning by starting the unquenchable wildfire of sensationalism and distortion, ignorant hate, defamation, and greed by unlawfully broadcasting who they wanted them would to think I was by their schemes, learned lessons, and fraudulent strategies from the school of manipulation and taking advantage. How much did they make off of me and still are calling it in, then removing the curtain to expose their personally twisted murdering monster. I don't understand what she's saying. Let me go back. How much did they make off me and still are for calling it in, then removing the curtain to expose their personally twisted murdering monster? All my forgiveness and greater gold comes from wondering why nothing viable in my defense was taken from my town's home, aka the crime scene, to aid in my truth, such as the butcher knife, 5-prong garden claws, or hammers under the table together outside where Jorge had easy access for use if I tried to leave or call for help while being held against my will during his rageful binges, or my bloody pillowcase stained from me being backhanded because I hid the magnum-sized bottle of vodka from him. Why weren't any crime scene photos taken of holes patched in walls and doors, some doors missing knobs, and all locks Jorge removed, cracked windows, broken furniture, obvious unnatural destruction in my townhome? How and why were they missed, uncared about, or not questioned, so I could explain some of my, what does that say? Some of my trauma? So I could explain some of my trauma. I'm always rewinding. Sarah's like, Melly, get it together. Oh my gosh. Missed you last night. I know. Okay, I've been so busy. I know I missed it. I was sad because you said it was good. It was a good day, Sarah. That's why. Manipulation. I cracked the code. Miguel. Hey, Scott. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. That's hilarious. Okay. So I could explain, what does that mean? Okay. I am having trouble reading her writing today. Not my eyeball's not working. It makes no difference. All is forgiven. All is forgiven. I don't zoom this shit in. Sorry, guys. Prosecutors Mr. J and Mr. 𝗏𝐻𝐿. My forgiveness is also extended for your inappropriate attributed. I don't know what that says. For having to go through years of pictures, videos, texts to erroneously piece together your deceitful, damning version of what really happened and who I am. After so much availability and for so long, you were finally able to make the circle fit into the square. And she underlines it. She's such a narcissist. It's good to see you, Scott. I forgive your antics, theatricals, ludicrous comments to make sure the world got their money's worth while watching with ignorant pitchforks and burning torches, hoping for the best from you, which is my worst. Instead of dropping the mic, Mr. J, you dropped. Does that say hat or bat? You dropped the hat, the bat. That does not say ball. And she underlines it. For the yelling, finger pointing, and intense underlining to force your theatricals and fantastics on the jury by using imaginary space and ventures and fictional characters to blind and bedazzle them with your far, far away from the truth dramatizations. I'm getting like a headache from reading her writing. By using imaginary space adventures and fictional characters to blind and bedazzle them with your far, far away from truth. Who are the fictional characters? Imaginary space adventures. I'm dead. I'm laughing. I can't. If you want to swear with 6 letters, otherwise we need to block it. Oh. Why am I being... What do you mean, Gracie? Hey, just popped in. I have grandson overnight. Oh, I hope you're having fun. 𝗵𝐶𝐺, thanks for stopping in, Space Cadet. Far away from the dramatizations. And all of your piece together productions, I forgive you most for never seeing the light in people, their human goodness, humor, and big hearts. You wake up to seek out the opposite, to condemn, to take lives in your own way. See the good that does exist in all of us inherently and unforced, even as the proud Mr. J stated, the kicked dog that bites. Mr. J, who kicked the dog in the first place? ? In my wisdom, it is usually best to leave sleeping dogs lie, then they don't bite. In my wisdom, it's usually best to leave sleeping dogs lie, then they don't bite. What does that mean? I've never heard that. Not her trying to be like Shakespeare. Okay. My gold goes out to the jury for not understanding my cracks, from being blinded from the injustice and malpractice and all of the judicial and prosecutorial errors, the very apparent violations of my constitutional rights during my case and the entire trial, which caused mass confusion and dysfunction. I forgive the jury truly for being weary from this confusion and dysfunction, also from being hungry and tired and wanting to go home to their families after being away from in full capacity of 2 full weeks. I understand. Sarah, the jury wasn't too tired to give you what you deserved. Like, what are you even saying? I understand, she underlines. From this and their brash, misguided, corrupted decision, I was wrongfully judged a unaliver instead of a survivor. For this, all is forgiven. For this, I can still survive and stand tall, having an even greater, the greatest opportunity to finally be understood in the Supreme Court for my appeal. I didn't lose. God just wanted me to win in a different way. Freedom and forgiveness. Heart. I'm done with Sarah Boone. In the end, I forgive myself for not choosing my life sooner, for not being more brave, vigilant, bolder, and outspoken, stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, for being hopeless, desperate, simple-minded, weak, and inexperienced. I forgive myself for not realizing I was enduring a life of DV and that the vicious cycle never ends. I had nothing to compare to. I've never been hit by a man ever before in my life. I was raised hitting a woman was wrong and that should never happen. No excuse. I forgive myself for not escaping permanently, for not fighting back sooner to save myself, my son, my dogs, home, and car, having 20/20 hindsight, thinking of everything I could have done differently or better to avoid the outcome. I think about this every day since. Also, all of the good days we had together, for him at least, while I was constantly in hyperdrive, high alert, and paranoid, making sure I did everything right all the time. I know if not the great possibility I would be ended as George threatened me with so many times before. I forgive myself for falling in love with a monster, and no matter how grotesque he may become, I still loved, hoped, and forgave. I tried breaking the spell so he wouldn't be a monster anymore. I saw who he was inside. Jorge made me then, now, and always love him for all of his cracks also. We made each other our own brilliant pieces of art from the cracks and repairs. Unfortunately, not all cracks can be. She means not all cracks can be repaired. Did Jorge say that she can't fully zip? Did Jorge's sister say that she can't fully zip? Yeah, I think so. Let sleeping dogs lie is a saying that means if something isn't causing you issues, it's best to just leave it alone. Oh, okay, like I get it now. Lie and use a sense of lane. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for saying that. I'm like, what is she saying? Not her trying to be Shakespeare. I'm sick of Sarah Boone. I'm sick of her. Sarah Boone has no concept of forgiveness. I know. They are. I do believe that as well. Okay, Gracie. Unfortunately, not all cracks can be. And all of my forgiveness, Jorge is my greatest lesson and will forever be a part of me. I can't. I don't like it. I don't like her talking about Jorge. It just makes me really uncomfortable for some reason. Jorge is my greatest lesson. Well, yeah, you're going to be in prison the rest of your life. I would hope so. Hold on, let me get a drink of water. And I think of him every day and still speak to him when alone on the rec yard. I ask his forgiveness and that he looks for me at the gates of heaven so I can tell him how sorry I am endlessly, and then I never stopped loving him and all of it and still. Oh, how do you guys feel? Oh, yeah. Good point, Stephanie. I don't blame you. I'm sick of her too. We can both have that. You're fine, Sarah. I know, but I mean, it's kind of like sad, right? I don't know. Why did I just get sad? He is forever intertwined with her now. She's out in the rec yard just speaking to the wind like a crazy Michelle. She absolutely out of her mind. She blames everybody, and it was really, yeah, it was. I don't blame you. It's sad. I know what she's saying. It's sad, but I know it's not like genuine, coming from her. But I'm like, damn. My question is like how the police came there so many times. I feel like these domestic issues that happen this frequently and constantly, I feel like it's at the end of the day, we're bound to see something, because it's like 13 times or something the police were called there. We saw in the 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲 case where the police let him leave together and didn't separate them. 𝗟𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲 case. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. Hey, 𝗟𝐸ITG, good to see you. Glad you made it. I hope you had a great day, and I hope you all had a great day, and it's the weekend. Oh, thank goodness. I know, I'm so busy working during the week. So when it comes time to the weekend, I'm so excited to hang out. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah. Hey, 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗲𝗲. Okay, thank you. Yes, it's 𝗂𝐸ITG, always good to see you. Okay, let's move on. I stopped loving him. When I first came to jail, I put my mat under my bed and cried all day and all night for months, only falling asleep from being so exhausted with grief. I wrote him letters. I wrote his family and his daughters apologizing and asking for their forgiveness, but due to fear that my life or sons would be jeopardized, I did not send. I am sorry. I cannot begin to fathom any of their grief and sadness. Forgive me. Underlines. I feel like this could be a little true. I don't feel like, why was she scared to send the letters? She was in jail. What are they going to come do? Knock the gates of the jail down? No, Sarah, you could have sent those letters. Forgive me. So she says, forgive me, and she underlines. Almost everything reminds me of him, seeing my stab wound every day especially. It truly reminds me of all I really did live through. Jorge haunts me. He is everywhere. I believe because I do still love him, think of him, and miss his laugh the most. In my heart, I know he is with me and understand that this tragedy was not intentional. I hope everyone can, his family foremost. I did not mean for this to happen. Please wholeheartedly know that, and always, I would never. Forgive me, Jorge. Forgive me, Torres family. Forgive me, Judge Kraynick. To the entire planet, forgive me. I kind of like that. Yeah, it's the weekend. Augie, beautiful Augie, I missed you. Hello. Good to see you. I'm going to use that all the time now. To the entire planet. That's actually pretty good. That's an actual good one. I will be sending that and talking to the entire planet. I graciously and humbly ask for consideration for forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment. For forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment. For reconciliation and restoration for all of us to move forward. My apology is profuse and ceaseless. Is it profuse or profound and ceaseless? Allow me to brush off the, I don't know what that says. Wipe the blood off my face and fix the cuts in my, what is she talking about? My apologies is profound, profuse and ceaseless. Allow me to brush off the blood. I can't read what that says. Wipe off the blood off my face and fix the cuts in my, I can't read that. I asked for understanding in what really happened and for how long. For second chances, repentance, and redemption, to advocate for all DV survivors, to help them overcome, heal, and still hope, always to make their voices heard, to confidently walk with all of their scars on the outside and inside, to help them not ever become a casualty of DV as so many others, to stop the abuse and the maltreatment before it is too late. There is always hope. You can survive. Underline. In my soft-spoken conclusion, I ask this. Who does she think she is? Skin? Oh, brush off the muck. I love that you guys are helping me with this. I'm sure because in her mind that SOB wound is the only physical thing. She has to justify all of her actions. It was kind of freaky when she said, oh, stab. I see. Oh, oops. Sorry, YouTube. Oops. Shit. Whatever. In my soft-spoken conclusion, I asked this. Would I be the darling mother celebrated woman of the year if it were I who died? How many daughters, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers, nieces, and friends have been because they did? I am a survivor. Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Isaiah 1:17. Protect the abused. Sarah Boone, December 12th, 2024. Oh, and then that's the envelope. Okay. I know that started a little crazy. Oh, Bun Bun! You made it, Bun Bun. I'm so glad you made it. And thank you for gifting, Bun Bun. Who did you gift to? Let me check. Welcome, new members. Thanks to Bun Bun. I appreciate you, Bun Bun. So much. I need to pull it up on a different screen to see who got gifted. Oh, Claudia got gifted. Welcome, new members. Oh, and the cynical one too. Okay, cool. Yeah, I recognize some of the names. Thank you, Bun Bun, for gifting. I appreciate you so much. You've been a great supporter of my channel from the beginning. I appreciate that. Same with Augie and Gracie. We go way back. Way back, if you know what I mean. Anyways, not me getting off topic. Anyways, I know that letter was we started off a little rocky because I didn't have my shit together. I didn't have it in order, but for the most part, it was just one page that wasn't. Don't come for me, please. Don't come for me. Okay, wait, I have one more thing. Yes, welcome, new green goblins. Okay, so that was the letter from what? I can't even remember the date that I just read. Oh no. 12/2. So, yay! The cynical one. You are a member. Welcome to the Mellyverse. Okay, we just did, and that's good you're a member because we're doing a members live only tomorrow night. Woo woo. Finally. I'm so glad that letter's over. Wait, but now we're gonna read her getting denied. Her getting denied. So that was on 12/2, and then the same day they denied her. She appealed already. She appealed. So I want to read through that. We'll get through it pretty quick. It's only a couple pages. This was filed on 12/2, so she literally did try to file an appeal after she got convicted to life. All right, I'm pulling it up. I'm gonna read this together. So it's dated 12/2, State of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Comes now the State of Florida by and through an undersigned assistant state attorney alleges ground one. The ground is based upon things that occurred well before the trial and does not appear to be a basis for the court to grant a motion for a new trial under Florida Rule of Criminal Procedure 3.6. So this is them asking for a new trial literally after she got convicted or sentenced. The court's decision on this ground is well supported by facts and outlined in the court's 16-page order dated June 28, 2024. The court should not grant a new trial based upon this ground. Ground number 2, court denying defendant's motion to continue. This ground is based upon things that occurred before the trial began and does not appear to be basis for the court to grant a new motion for a new trial under Florida rule. The defendant is overstating the holdings of the cases she cited. The court shall not deprive a defendant of his or her right to counsel of their own choice, failure of the trial court to grant a continuance will result in a new trial should the court deny said motion for a continuance by new counsel is not the holding of the cases. Number 6, a defendant's right to counsel his or her choice is not absolute, and a court's consideration of any continuance should balance the defendant's right with consideration of the impact of administration of justice. Any denial of a continuance to obtain new counsel must be based upon an adequate inquiry into the circumstances with findings to assure the defendant's constitutional rights were not being deprived. The court's 16-page order dated June 28, 2024 adequately addresses the circumstances of the defendant's forfeiture of her right to counsel and the setting of a trial on the date of October 7, 2024, 56 months after she was arrested for this crime. The court did not abuse its discretion by denying a continuance in this matter. The case was over 4.5 years old because of the defendant's issues with multiple prior attorneys. These issues created by her behavior. The underlying work on the defense of self-defense and battered spouse syndrome evidence to be used in support of a claim of self-defense had been done by prior counsels. Much of the records disclosed to the state in October of 2024 have been acquired years before by prior counsels via subpoena and provided to investigator Billy Lane. The Florida Supreme Court requires only 30 days notice prior to trial for a defendant to rely upon battered spouse syndrome evidence. In this circumstance, with the expert already working on the defendant's case for years and relying upon the records that the defendant had in her possession for years, it was the state that had only 30 days to handle this evidence. After prior counsel, it had indicated that it would not be filing a notice of intent to rely on the battered spouse syndrome evidence. Wait, what did I miss? Who? Oh, I was saying. I saw saying, I'm coming for you, Mel. I'm like, I was saying, but then I saw it. Well, it did take time to review the entirety of the defendant's phone extraction. The state was able to do so in the time frame and narrow it down to 167 pages of the PDF timeline and 213 photos and videos. The phone extraction had been provided years ago to the defendant's prior counsel. It was again provided to the defendant while she was pro se. The 911 calls and body-worn camera footage from the prior incidents took approximately a day and a half to review, and that was accomplished after it was learned on October 1st, 2024, during her deposition that Dr. Julie Harper relied on them. These were provided to the defense on October 4th, 2024. There was an entire week of no action taken by the court between October 7th and October 14th because of Hurricane Milton. That and prior 5 weeks was more sufficient for a team of 4 attorneys and a trial consultant to review the material if the undersigned could. The court should not grant a new trial based upon this ground. During the publishing of the exhibit contained, and then they cite a picture, apparently a single family member of the homicide survivors had an emotional reaction and left the courtroom. The undersigned's back was turned and did not witness this. The family member did not return for the duration of the evidence presentation. It cannot be said that this nonverbal single emotional outburst was so prejudicial so as to vitiate the entire trial. The trial court's findings on the situation are subject to an abuse of discretion standard, and the court did not abuse its discretion. The undersigned's recollection is that as a sidebar, there was no request for a curative instruction, but rather a request to excuse the jury. The jury was excused, and the member of the family's victim had either excused herself or then excused herself. The allegation was then made that this was intentionally staged by the state. It was neither nor intentional, nor is it common that a homicide survivor who has a right to be in the courtroom pursuant to Article 1 in the state of Florida was mistaken in his or her belief and his or her ability to not become emotional during trial. There, the victim deliberately testified about DNA evidence again on her buttocks belonging to the defendant, when in fact that was not the conclusion of the DNA analyst, whose findings were inconclusive as to the identity of the evidence found on the victim's buttocks. In Collin versus State, it is also distinguishable as it involves a mother of an EX battery victim, apparently needlessly being shown a picture of her daughter's private parts and throwing up in a trash can in the presence of the jury. There, a mistrial should have been granted. 16. Smith versus State involved a case where the medical examiner took a breath while testifying to injuries a defendant had sustained and asked for a break. No error was found in the trial's court decision to not grant a mistrial. Ground 4, Dr. Werner's testimony. The state understands the court's ruling at trial on the matter of whether Dr. Werner's opinion about the inapplicability of the battered spouse syndrome evidence as a concept was a discovery violation and is not revisiting it for that purpose. Rather, the defendant has included this in her motion for a new trial, so the state will readdress it. The state is not required to disclose unrecorded oral statements unless it is materially alters a prior written or recorded statement previously provided by the state. The state deposed the defendant's expert, Dr. Julie Harper, as soon as possible after she was disclosed. The deposition occurred on October 1st, 2024. The very next day, Dr. Werner evaluated the defendant at the Orange County Jail at noon on October 2nd, 2024, given that the trial was set to begin on October 7th. This was less than ideal for the state. The state would have not provided the materials to Dr. Harper had relied on at that time, although the defendant acquired much of them years earlier. Dr. Harper's deposition had not been transcribed yet for Dr. Werner's review prior to the evaluation. The second defense expert, Dr. Michael Brannon, had not been deposed yet. After the defendant, in most material aspects, repeated her statements she made to Dr. Julie Harper that she zipped the victim in the suitcase and that they both initially thought it was funny. But she became angry after the victim stated he could not breathe. So she became violent with the victim and ultimately left him there despite stating he could not breathe and demonstrating his inability to get himself out of the predicament. And it was Dr. Werner's conclusion that the battered spouse syndrome was inapplicable. So we're just reading why she was denied new trial this month. Immediately after the evaluation on October 2nd, both parties and the defendant went to court to argue the defendant's motion to suppress. On October 3rd, the state began reviewing the prior interactions with law enforcement that Dr. Harper said she had relied upon during her deposition on October 1st and arranged for body-worn cameras and 911 calls to be provided to the defense team by Attorney State Assistant David Cacciatore on October 4th, while the undersigned was in Osceola County handling a placement hearing on a not guilty by reason of insanity first-degree unaliving case. Later on October 3rd, the undersigned took the deposition of the second battered spouse syndrome expert listed by the defendant, Dr. Michael Brannon. On October 4th, immediately after concluding the insanity placement hearing in the morning, the defense took the deposition of Dr. Werner. Mr. Owens pressed Dr. Werner for quote-unquote, any other opinions she may have, and Dr. Werner insisted on being asked specific questions. This is not a discovery violation, nor the creation of a prior inconsistent statement. The victim's failure to mention the two incidents in response to the defense counsel open-minded deposition questions did not amount to a material change in testimony from the videotaped interview with Detective Martin's report, or the victim's deposition. Because the victim's unrecorded statement did not materially change her previous statement, the trial court ended the inquiry and properly concluded that the state was not required to produce the statement to 𝗟𝗏. This is indistinguishable from this case. Furthermore, the defendant was repeatedly placed on notice that the state did not believe, as a matter of law, that her statements was taken in light most favorable to her amounted to self-defense under Florida law. A discussion was held immediately following Dr. Werner's evaluation between the state and the defendant's lead counsel to this effect, when the defendant's lead counsel expressed that he believed the state should be lowering its offer of 15 years in the Department of Corrections because of what we had all just witnessed, the defendant stated. The state viewed the evaluation very differently and let the defendant's lead counsel know why. Further litigation ensued immediately thereafter after the defendant's motion to suppress statements. She forgot she unalived a man. I know, Augie. I know. It's like we waited for years, 9 lawyers. She has trial. She gets sentenced. We all saw it on the freaking video. And then she files for a new trial the same day she writes this letter. because we just saw the letter was dated December 2nd. We just not got it because of, being sealed and whatever, but this was filed on October 2nd. So Sarah Boone is already hard at work trying to get out, trying to hang out. The defendant in her motion states the witness had formed a new opinion relating to whether the defendant perceived an imminent threat at the time of the offense. The issue was discussed extensively in the expert witness deposition taken on October 1st, 2024. The word imminent does not appear in the entire 87-page deposition. It was not discussed. What the defendant stated on page 78 of Dr. Werner's deposition, according to Dr. Werner, was, quote unquote, and she said, I saw him in the suitcase, I zipped him up, and we were laughing. She said then he couldn't breathe. And I remember feeling I couldn't breathe and he was choking me, or S. You know what that means? Look on the screen. And I was angry. I shook the suitcase. I lost control of the suitcase and it flipped. Because she was never questioned on that opinion, there was no inconsistent statements to impeach Dr. Werner with. Hypothetically, if the defendant had gotten Dr. Werner's opinion on the matter during the deposition, the state fails to see what the defendant really could do about it other than disagree with it, because Dr. Werner's opinion did not violate Florida statute, no more than when Dr. Harper rendered the opposite opinion. It was not an opinion on whether the defendant was guilty or not. It was not even an opinion about whether the defendant used a justifiable use of deadly or non-deadly force. The opinion was about the applicability of the battered space syndrome as a concept given what the defendant had told her in her evaluation, and that because of what the defendant stated in the above paragraph, it was inapplicable if the defendant suffered from the battered spouse syndrome. It was no different than Dr. Harper stating that the defendant met the criteria for the battered spouse syndrome and the defendant telling her she was in imminent fear at the time the defendant left the victim zipped shut in the suitcase. Experts can testify a victim's injuries are consistent with forced sex intercourse. Experts also routinely testify about the applicability of the insanity defense to a defendant. Medical examiners routinely, as in this case, testify to the cause of death, and it does not evade the province of the jury. It is an opposite that a medical examiner's testimony contradicts the defense theory of the case. This is what happened here. Dr. Werner disagreed with the defendant. Because the defendant was examined by her own expert, Dr. Julie Harper, complied with Rule 3216, and was examined by Dr. Werner, both experts were allowed to speak on the applicability of the battered spouse syndrome regarding the facts of the case. The relevance of Dr. Werner not listening to the testimony of Dr. Michael Brannon and Dr. Julie Harper is lost upon the state. Ultimately, regardless of what all three doctors in this case testified to, the crux of the entire case was that even accepting the defendant's trial testimony, she failed to comply with Florida statute and in fact escaped having the forcible felony instruction read because of a statute of limitations technicality at a point which the opposing counsel agreed with the charge conference. This argument was permissible regardless of whether Dr. Werner testified or not. As a remedy, the court allowed the defendant to question Dr. Werner about opinions she was not asked by the state to give to the jury, specifically whether the defendant suffered from any disorders recognized by the DSM-5 or met the criteria for the battered spouse syndrome. She gave the following answers to the following questions in her deposition. Page 37 through 38. Question. Okay, all right. As it relates to Sarah Boone, do you have any diagnosis as it relates to her? She responds, no. She told me that she was previously diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. So that would be in there. That would be in there. She's been prescribed an 𝗟𝗏𝗃 for that help to treat her symptoms. Whether it is a generalized anxiety disorder versus an adjustment disorder, to her being in the facility is questionable for me in all honesty. But I haven't had enough time to go through everything thoroughly since I just saw her 2 days ago and process everything in all honesty. I think she also has narcissistic personality traits and was evident in evaluation. And those would be my two major diagnoses. Page 46. Question. But you don't believe that she suffers the post-traumatic stress disorder in your opinion? The doctor responds with, no, I would have to look through the back of my notes to see if she fully met that criteria. Question. Is it your opinion that Sarah Boone does not suffer from the battered spouse syndrome? The doctor responds with no. Again, I would have to go through my notes to fully formulate an opinion on that, but I think she certainly was involved in a violent relationship. Question, but you haven't formed an opinion one way or another about whether Sarah Boone suffers from battered spouse syndrome. Answer, I think I want to go through it to make sure I believe there was a lot of violence in her relationship. She described being threatened. She talked about, the different kind of violence cycle and the different aspects of it. So most likely she does. I don't have an issue with that. Number 35. At trial, the defendant was permitted to explore Dr. Werner's opinions on these matters. The defendant was also allowed without objection to bolster Dr. Harper's testimony by reciting passages from Dr. Lenore Walker's treatise on the battered woman syndrome. This was accomplished by asking if Dr. Harper recognized the book as an authoritative and then reading quotes from it. Likewise, without objection, the defendant cross-examined Dr. Werner without quotation from this treatise, with neither her nor the court recognizing the publication as authoritative. I have to look that up. For the above stated reasons, the court should deny the request for a new trial on this ground. She likes to argue and everybody is her fault. I know. It's a waste of time. I can't even believe they filed for a new trial. But I mean, I guess that's her right. The defendant, much like her motion to suppress statements, cited no authority to support this ground being improper or grounds for a new trial. This, of course, is no bar to her again alleging prosecutorial misconduct. The proper limit of a rebuttal is a reply to what has been brought out in the defendant's closing argument. The state strategically broke up its closing arguments. The first argument was nearly entirely devoted to why the defendant was guilty of second-degree murder. Obviously, there is some inevitable crossing into why it was not justified and why the defendant lacked credibility, but was largely left for rebuttal. The defendant's nearly 2-hour-long closing argument centered on why she met the criteria for the battered spouse syndrome. It touched upon why this made it objectively reasonable for her fear imminent harm or death if the victim escaped the suitcase, but failed to address the applicability of the Florida statute to the facts. And the facts were that she left the victim shut in the suitcase after he said he could not breathe and asked to be let out so she can make him feel how he made her feel in the past. And she could say whatever she wanted to him and he had to listen to her. It was completely a fair rebuttal to distinguish the difference between a defendant's subjective belief that something is necessary versus objectively reasonable for a cautious and prudent person in her circumstances. Likewise, it was fair to attack her credibility as a witness, as that was the foundation of her defense, and to point out that even if the defendant's arguments were accepted, she failed to comply with Florida statute. Conclusion. There is no right to jury nullification. The defendant was placed on notice several times that her version of events did not amount to a justifiable use of force under the law. State's motion to strike defendant's notice of intent to rely on the defense of battered spouse syndrome and state's motion in limine and state's motion for examination by state expert September 11th. State's motion to strike defendant's amended notice of intent to rely September 19th. State's motion in limine to exclude battered spouse syndrome evidence or exclude mention of battered spouse syndrome evidence until the defendant testifies October 7th. State's request for forcible felony instruction and request for initial aggressor instruction October 24th. State's request for special jury instruction regarding withdrawing from physical contact, October 24th. No version of the defendant's events amount to a justifiable force use to her, only stating that she became afraid of what she had become angry and aggressed the victim by choosing to not let him out of the suitcase because he made her angry when he said he could not breathe. She was going to make him feel like he had made her feel in the past, and she was going to say what she wanted to him while she was in a captive audience. She admitted to what Florida statutes described as a forcible felony of aggravated assault. She was allowed her 10 days in court to ask for a jury nullification with past incidents of violence committed by the victim. The court should not grant her a new trial. I certify a copy of this, blah, 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 December 2nd, 2024. So we read the 28-page forgiveness letter, and we just read the motion for her to get a new trial, and she was denied. She has BSS, but not. I knew one of you was going to say that. I knew it. I knew it in my bones. Bullshit syndrome. I know. I agree. And I don't know how to behave on here, but whatever. What do you guys think? All she does is makes excuses. Yes, they were toxic, but she took a life in the horrific way. I agree. I agree. What he went through was brutal. I have the text messages I wanted to review, but I'm thinking we'll review those tomorrow because it's like a lot of pages of text messages. And we've already been live for almost 2 hours. What do you think? She's done. I think I read that one. She's done for not taking the plea deal. I know. Well, anyways, Sarah Boone has been sentenced to life. I still have not watched this trial. I still want to play it on my channel. But tomorrow we will have 𝐁𝐿𝐴 calls and then a new case. A new series. It's going to be a 5-part series starting tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm thinking we'll read these text messages from Sarah Boone maybe tomorrow. Imagine putting up with a girlfriend like this for so long. Really, I can't even get out of my bed. Oh no. I know. I'm sorry, Gracie. I know. It's very brutal. It's scary so many people are like this. I know. It is very scary. I think they physically, I know, I do think that they both were involved in like the domestic violence aspect of it. But, you know, I think sometimes like the system failed as well because I'm like, you know, how many times were police called there? And I mean, not like they could do anything, right? Because even if they arrested them or separated them, they would end up getting back together. But I feel like, I don't know. And both of their families knew like how crazy they were. I don't know. I mean, I kind of get it. Like, I don't get the suitcase thing. That's not what I'm saying. I get like the whole being in a toxic relationship, but I feel like Sarah Boone has done too much. You know, like the 9 lawyers, all the letters we've seen. How many letters have we not seen her write? You know, it's like, I'm sure we're going to see so much more. And like I said, I think she's going to try to be Wade, and everyone is trying to get her phone calls. Even me, I will admit. Oh, thank you, Gracie. Yeah, I've just been so freaking busy. Missed you last night on dumplings. I know, I missed it because I was falling asleep. I'm not one to go to bed early. You guys know. We used to do Melly after darks, but like I've been so crazy busy. Oh, thank you, Bun Bun. I have a case I'm working on too that a couple of you have recommended me, including Bun Bun. So we're gonna be covering those in between 𝐁𝐿𝐴 calls. Like I said, I have a lot of them. So while we do the calls, I'm going to throw in like other cases. But the 5-part series starts tomorrow. And it's a case. Should I tell you guys? No, I'm not going to tell you guys. Just wait. You have to wait. It's kind of, it has a trial coming up. But I got all of the court documents. Like every single one. So I'm gonna like do a 5-part series. We're gonna read it. I'll say in like Bun Bun, I appreciate and love you so much. Thank you for supporting. Anyways, so yeah, it's gonna be a 5-part series. I got all the court documents. It's probably gonna be a trial in early of 2020. No, Gracie. I actually need my car cleaned too. I'm like, I was thinking that this weekend. I'm like, I need to take it to get detailed because your girl does not have time. But no, Gracie, I appreciate you for just being here. All my mods, you guys know you're not just my mods. You guys are my friends. I love you all. And I appreciate you guys for being here and like supporting my channel. It does not go unnoticed. Trust me. I will always remember who was here for me from the beginning. Yes, Sarah's absolutely right. I do like to tease you guys. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna do Jamie calls tomorrow, and then we're gonna do. I have a part one. I don't know if I should do part one tomorrow on Sunday. Maybe tomorrow night, because I also want to do like a one-on-one, or what do you call it? A members live. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow. So I'll hop on. Maybe I'll make a post, because I know YouTube sucks at notifications. So maybe I'll post like, I'll see you guys on live in like whatever, like 20 minutes or something. And then you guys can hop on there. It's not going to be like this. It's going to be like an actual vertical live. I want to try that. Love you, Jojo. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'll say like, shut up, Melly. Sarah Boone's reminds me of my mother. Kind of my mom is like a teenager. She's obviously 6 years because of all the meth. Oh, so you mean like she's delayed, like with her being like mature and grown where she needs to be. I see what you're saying. Bumban, yeah. Bumban's trying to help me get a postal address. I'm going to get a P.O. box. I was like, what do you call those things? I need CBD oil and lots of it. Okay, Gracie, if it's expensive there, let me know. I'll send you some. We love you, Sarah. We love you, Sarah. Thank you for being here. But anyways, yes, let me know, Gracie. And like I said, there's a few more cases I'm going to talk about. We have a series coming up, Jamie Komorowski calls. For now, we're done with Sarah Boone. I do have these text messages, but I'm like, I just can't with Sarah Boone. So yeah, tomorrow, members only, vertical live. We're doing it. So come join. Yeah, Bumban, you've been sending me such good things too. So I'm looking into that this weekend. And then I'll get one. But I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. I will see you guys tomorrow. Members live, Jamie calls, and then a new case that you guys don't know about. But I love you so much. Thank you for being here and supporting my channel. I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys enjoyed this live, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And again, thank you, Bun for gifting and super chats. Mods, thank you. Viewers, thank you. Haters, thank you. Replay viewers, thank you. All of the above, thank you. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Stay safe.